Hi there, my name's Steve. I'm an AV technician here at Fleming College. This video is here to give you a general what's what of our AV cabinets. So let's dive right in. Oh, first, I want to say we make sure there's a safety phone in each classroom, usually attached to the AV cabinets. Security, 911, IT, and AV support can be reached using these phones. For IT or AV support, dial extension 4111 to talk to one of our technicians. Perhaps a 5-second fix over the phone will get you on your way. Otherwise, we'll dispatch a technician down to your classroom right away to get you back up and running. Okay, so what are you going to see when you walk into one of our classrooms? You may find a push button panel or a touch panel, depending on the room you're in. One of the most common AV cabinets you'll find here at Fleming College is an Extron system with push buttons rather than a touch panel. We'll take a look. As previously mentioned, there's a safety phone on every AV cabinet. There's the control box itself that allows you to turn on and off the projector and switch inputs, mute, plug in your devices, or power up your USB devices. The monitor and keyboard and mouse. And on this side we have the document camera as well. Document camera, just have to power on and then adjust as needed. There's also a light on top of the document camera if need be. Very basic components here to operate. We'll just turn on the system, and that will operate the projector in the room. And while we're waiting for the projector to warm up, we do have volume control here. PC input is what everything defaults to. There's a document camera. VGA is this connection here for older laptops. HDMI, as labeled, is the HDMI connector here. This particular room has a AV mute, which will mute the projector in case you have anything you want to do on your screen here that you don't want projected. It also has a mic mute here. We're in the process now of installing microphones above every AV station, and that can be muted from this button. Beyond the on-off switch and the input selections and mutes, we also have a couple other items here. There's an audio input that goes along with the VGA input, so when you switch to VGA, those two are used together. There's a USB port that allows you to connect over to the computer rather than connecting your USB device down in the PC inside the cabinet. And there's 4 powered USB ports down here in case you have to charge anything while you're at the AV podium. Okay, so that's the push button style rooms. Oh, and just before leaving, please remember to disconnect any USB devices you may have brought, log out of the PC, and turn off the projector. Another type of room that you may encounter here at Fleming may have touch panels rather than those push buttons, but the concept is largely the same. With these, you'll find a few extra features, namely a help button in the lower left corner with some resets just in case things seem to not work as expected. Let's take a look at this type of cabinet. As I mentioned, some rooms have a touch panel. Let's take a look at this panel here. With this room, we have a touch panel here. And the inputs that I mentioned from the other room, this is just replacing those push buttons. We have a power button. As soon as we press that, the motorized screen comes down. Now that the projector is powering on and the screen is down, we're presented with a few choices. We can choose what source, which would have been those input selectors that we had on the other room. In this case, we have the PC, the document camera, and the laptop. When choosing the laptop, we can choose between the HDMI input or the VGA input. So I would choose HDMI, which would choose this input here. It mentions here as well there's no signal found on either of those inputs. When we plug something into one of these, those would light up green. That tells you that your device is outputting a signal to our equipment. I mentioned earlier as well, there's a little help button in the lower left. By pressing that, here's the reset buttons. Projector power will send a power on command to the projector in case it fell asleep. It really shouldn't, but in the event something happens where it does, that will send a power on. There's an audio reset where if sound just isn't working the way you expect it to, that will realign everything the way we had it set up originally. Return to default layout in case there's multiple projectors and multiple screens, and things aren't quite lined up right. Your mouse goes off the left edge of the screen and shows up on the right edge of the other one, for example. And there's a how-to video button, which all it does is send you to links to some of these videos. Your volume in this case is a couple of buttons here. You can mute. There's also a projector mute off to the corner here that will temporarily power down the projector. And finally, when you're done with this system, just press the power button and confirm that you want to power off the projector. Now you may walk in and find 2 projectors and 2 monitors on the AV cabinet. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So in this cabinet we have document camera, 2 monitors, touch panel with some connectors down there. We'll take a look in just a second. And again, I'll mention the phone on the wall just over there, the safety phone. So let's take a look. I'm just going to power on this system by tapping the touchscreen and pressing the power button. The lights at the front of the room will dim down in this case. The projectors are powered on. And in just a moment we'll be ready to use it. There we go. Quick tips listed on the screen here. We have our display control, lighting in this room, which is currently set to lecture mode. We can mute the projectors if we need to temporarily disable the projectors and do something on the monitors here. We have our main volume up and down, and mute over there. There's that help button with a few resets. And the power off. I can set all displays to computer main display. I can then maybe set everything back to document camera. I'll go to the left projector and I can set that over to the laptop. And I can choose which laptop input as well. I'll go back and I can reset everything back to default at that point. As you can see on this display, it does tell us currently PC main display with a little icon for the left projector. And over on the right monitor is currently PC extended display with a different icon there. If I choose to set all to document camera and head back, there's now a little document camera on each of those displays. It's a quick little way to see exactly which one you're wanting to change. And if I set default layout, everything switches back to the way it was originally when you first turned on the system. That's about it. I mean, behind the scenes, these systems are checking bulb life and sending us emails when they get low, making sure that the projectors are on the right input for you. Lots of cool stuff. But on your end, we hope it all just makes sense. While this covers most of what you'll see when walking into one of our classrooms, if you happen to be teaching in a room that looks a little different, we promise the same core concepts are there. And as always, just give us a call if things aren't operating as expected. Thank you for watching our quick intro to these AV cabinets. Cheers.